Like I had mentioned previously, I am doing just a quick little side diversion, and this is just a video to promote discussion and get out some of my gripes with the Awoken system as a whole in this game for the most part. And if you use any of the Awokens that I'm about to go over, that's perfectly fine, and I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong for using them. I'm merely just going over why I don't use them if they are not potential unleashed. If you would like to leave some comments of your own as to why you would argue that one of the forms you use is generally better than potential unleashed, I'm all ears. Leave a comment down below. We can have a nice little discussion about that. Anywho, getting right into it, we have a long list of Awokens to go and get into here, and I'm going to go over why I don't particularly use them, and why I don't think they're very good, in general, really, for the most part. So, Super Saiyan. It has 3 stages. It's more strike-focused, and, if you're not a fan of the change to blonde, that could be a reason. Though that shouldn't really deter you if you mainly care about the power-ups. For me, cosmetically, as you can see from my Earthlings and Saiyans, I have default Super Saiyan 3. I prefer the look of it to stay Blue Evolution, at least on my Saiyans, as far as they're considered, or concerned, but, I just like the look of it, honestly. So, that's one of the reasons I don't like Super Saiyan, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme as we go over the forms here. Other than that, each stage will make you get less ki back while you're doing some basic strings to your enemy. Now, you can easily get around that, of course, with certain power-up skills and super souls, but I don't really like that downside to it. Next, we got Power Pull Pro. You can't use your super skills or ultimate skills on this thing. Now, you can definitely make this work. I've seen my buddy RC Blazer make this work very well on his female Earthling Casino. I've seen him make it work well enough on his other female Earthling, I think her name is Blaze. But anywho, I don't really like this because that's my biggest complaint, is you can't even use any of your supers and ultimate attacks. You just have the strings that come with Power Pull Pro. Plus, it's really easy to get knocked out of this thing. Moving on to the next one, we have Become Giant. So, you do get a couple of unique supers when you use this thing. And you have that grab, of course. You're kind of sluggish when it comes to your strings. Other than that, the stamina drain is massive, so I don't use it. And that's all I have to really say on that. Other than that, it just makes you really huge, makes you a bigger hit, or a bigger target. So it's going to be easy for them to whittle down your stamina even further, at least I think. Next up, we have Turn Golden. There are actually 4 reasons why I do not like this form. Number 1, and some people are probably going to jab at me for even mentioning this, but believe it or not, using Turn Golden completely removes your ability to guard mash at all with your Frieza character. I don't know why it's like that, but it just is. So that's one reason. Reason number 2. Your charged Ki Blast. You are always stuck and locked into the paralyzed Ki Blast. If that's not a deal breaker for you, then I'm sorry, not the stun thing, the Death Beam poke thing. And while that is a fine enough move, you can't really change that at all, and that could turn a few folks off. I'm one of those few folks. Reason number 3, you get less ki back during strings, like Super Saiyan. Reason number 4, you take more damage. And that's why I don't like it very much. Next up, we have Purification for the Majin race. Now, there are some decent moves within Purification. Here are my gripes with it, and this is going to be very common among many other people. It just makes you into a roster Kid Buu, only with your own stats, your own character voice, and your own color. You are locked into maximum charge, which is very outclassed, especially if you have a lot of ki. You are locked into your moveset, such as Super Vanishing Ball, and then I forget what Teleporting Vanishing Ball. That's the other one I was trying to think of. You have Sleep, which is a fine enough recovery move. I personally don't like that because you kind of just... I mean, you're wasting a lot of time just sitting there, and you have a big recovery time with that move. Plus, with my presets, I'm using Do or Die to boost my defense, which heals me and my allies throughout the whole fight, and boosts my defense. It can let me get away with tanking through all kinds of moves. It does chip damage, and it even helps me completely avoid getting grabbed more often than not, which is nice to have. It also lets me effortlessly power through enemy evasive attacks. So that's why I'm not really the biggest fan of Sleep. Plus, I don't really like the whole stop and go thing very much. And I know you're going to bring up Do or Die, but that is so brief by comparison. But anyway, those are my grabs with Purification. Next, Kaioken has the stamina drain issue. It's really almost not even there at all when you're just using level 1. And there are even Super Souls to help out with this thing. But if you want, like, the maximum stat, like the max potential you can get out of Kaioken, not very advisable, in my opinion. Because, believe it or not, when you're using the Kaioken times 20, you get a 15% damage boost across the board, which is the same for Potential Unleashed. Only, unlike Kaioken, it's really difficult to get Potential Unleashed because you have to Z-rank all those training quests by Elder Kai, and that can be really difficult for some. But it is well worth unlocking, in my opinion. So not only is this thing a 15% damage boost across the board, you get a little buff in defense, believe it or not, and a little buff into your speed as well. And there are no downsides to this thing at all, unless you consider having a stuck white aura a downside. Next, we got Super Vegeta. So, if this is basically Super Saiyan, but it's more blast focused, but it only goes to level 2. It has the same key issues of Super Saiyan 1 through 3, with the same amounts of Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2, of course. There's, of course, that blonde hair change if you're not really a fan of that. Other than that, the multipliers on it are not bad. You can once more easily get around the lack of key gain when doing those strings. But, I just prefer Potential Unleashed. That's my go-to Awoken. Next, we have Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. I don't like the key drain. That is a big turn-off for me. Now, I'm aware that there are Super Souls to easily help out with that, and even some skills. In my opinion, that's limiting the player more than anything. So that's why I really don't like Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Plus, you take more damage using this thing. I don't know the exact multipliers on it, but that's a huge turnoff for me. Those are two big turnoffs for me, actually. You take more damage, and you're draining your ki. No thank you. Next, we have Future Super Saiyan. Multipliers on it aren't terrible. I think you still get a very, very small um, decrease when you're doing your combo strings with this thing on. Don't quote me on that. But I don't think the multipliers are as good as potential unleashed. So, I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm quite sure that this thing does not compare to it. And oddly enough, this is the only skill in the entire game you get from doing the story mode. Next we have Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Evolved. Now, I'm not really a big fan of this one. I was, and I ran it for the longest time. You can even see me using it in past videos. A lot of the time, I would have to stop and go. And that's what I was referring to earlier with the whole sleep thing with the Purification. Since then, they have heavily nerfed it into the ground. And I decided, you know what, I'm tired of this stop and go nonsense. I kind of just want to be able to look like I have Blue Evolution and not have to constantly meditate. Plus, it would free up another slot to do something else if I want to. And I like that freedom. Plus, this also limits your options on Super Souls to use, in my opinion. Because if you're using Blue Evolution, you are wanting to get rid of the annoying key drain effect that comes with it. Now, I'm aware of things like time for a little nap, and I'm finally warmed up now. I'm also aware of, right then, let's begin the experiment. You're still getting key drain, though. And the big drawback to using Fuse Super Soul is you have to remain above 75% HP, which isn't hard, mind you. Especially if you're really skilled at hand-to-hand, and you just go after the AI one at a time, and you're solo most of the time. And even if you use Elgin Blaster, if you have to be babysitting dumb AI. But anyhow, yeah, I really don't like the key drain. Other than that, it is not a bad Awoken by any means. The key drain is much larger, however, on it than it is for regular blue. So for that reason, I don't use it. Now, some of you might call me crazy when I comment on the God forms. Here's my thing. One, and this is just a small nitpick. Why are they divided into male and female? Really, what is the difference? Because I did notice a difference when I first tried it out in my Saiyans. Anyhow, this thing requires timing on your basics, which, don't get me wrong, you can make it work, but from experience, you are getting far more DPS out of spamming super attacks in this game. This thing only boosts your basics. And it completely removes your ability to infinite loop with your strings on either Saiyan. Trust me, I have tried it, and I know you can get around that with using super attacks. Not a fan of that. Plus, I prefer blue anyhow. So for me, it's a pass on this thing. It's only boosting your basic. You're not getting a buff at all to your super and ultimate attacks at all. So for that reason, yeah, no. Hard pass for me on this. And then finally we have Beast here. I'm not a fan of how the hair looks. I'm not a fan of the eyes. Other than that, I think the aura is awesome. It looks great. Here's my two big issues with it. One, it's fine that it costs 500 ki, but it's treated like hits Awoken. You spend 500 ki, so you're losing 5 ki bars upon using this thing. My other big issue with it, and yes, I understand it is a 30% damage boost across the whole board, you are also taking 20% more damage from all sources. So for those reasons, I completely avoid this thing like the plague. Now, the one time I would actually recommend it, believe it or not, is for that Cyberman raid that is going on. You pair this up with a QQ Bang at max blast and ki, if you have one like that, with Gigantic Roar, and the Super Soul you would want to equip is, I hope you're reborn this time as someone good. Because you can easily use a Gigantic Roar, kill 1 to 3 Cybermen if you're in a good spot on the map, and then it would instantly refill your ki and let you do it again. But that's like so situational. Other than that, if you're just trying to get really, really high damage numbers in raids like my buddy RC, then it's certainly an option, a good option for that. Besides that, though, I personally try to avoid this thing altogether. But, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. And once more, this was just to, like, go over some of my issues with the whole Awoken system in general. If you disagree with any of the points I've made, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to tell me why down below. And I'll see you guys next time. When we come back later, next video will be for Hero Coliseum. It'll be a slot fill. I'm going to redo a couple of fights with Connor's deck. Or was it? I think it was actually Red Universe Mickey Mouse. One of the two. I have to go back and double check. But, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to cover the next slot fill with Matthias Acchetti. I appreciate all your folks' patience on that. I'm going to go get some shit out here. I've also been, like, I'm off right now. I've been staying up a little bit playing SD Gundam Battle Alliance. I got the deluxe version and then all the DLC for it. But anywho, I'm going to go rest up now, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.